What's going on, people? Back again with another ball fade. I guess you can call it a tutorial. For all new barbers out there, people that are just getting into the industry, not every haircut is going to be your ideal situation. As you can see, the young man is fresh out of school, appears to be a little tired, and throughout this haircut, you see some of the difficulties that come along with just cutting kids in general. So, good rule of thumb when cutting kids, always anticipate their flinching or twitching or moving, or in this case, just flat out being asleep. Pretty much like I did in the last one. I went in with my Oster Octanes with my 5/0 blade. Pretty much set my first guideline. I was explaining this to my students the other day. I see a lot of people go in with trimmers and they put a really hard line in. Only problem with that starting out, it's extremely difficult to get that line out or to actually blend it in with the rest of your fade. And sometimes it's an unnecessary step. Or if you're gonna do it that way, just once you get to where you want that first line to be, just kind of use the C motion and taper off of it. That way when you go back, it's not as hard to blend that line out. Here I'm using my Andes Masters. I have my lever all the way open, basically creating another guideline. And this haircut, I navigate through it majority doing a lot of freehand in between, which means I'm basically trying to create the shape in which I want it to be. Here I've just switched to my one guard. I'm basically gonna go in with it all the way closed, and I'm using a combination of the scoop out method and also freehand, trying to also keep that overall shape in which I want it to be, and try to blend everything in with the top, which I probably won't be cutting down. Right about here is where he really starts to, make me work a little extra hard, because he's in good sleep right about now. Also, even when doing high top fades, I still use my top down approach, where I start to blend in the top, or as I would call it, my final destination. I start to work out and see how that looks, and that way when I go down, it prevents me from chasing lines. Also, I'm paying very close attention to his growth pattern, because near the back of the head, where the crown, his hair tends to swirl. Good rule of thumb is, if you're gonna fade and you're cutting against the grain, you want to make sure you're going against the way that the hair actually grows. Not everything grows up and down. Here I'm just trying to wake him up a little bit so he can hold his head up straight. Because right here I basically have my Andes Masters and the lever is all the way closed, and I'm basically working at that first line that I put in, basically trying to erase it. Notice that I'm working in a very specific space. I'm not trying to go too high, and I'm not trying to do too much at once. I'm just basically working on this one area, trying to get it as smooth as I can. Eventually I go and switch to my wall seniors, which have the surgical blade on it. It just helps me to get the ball line out a little bit quicker. You may have noticed he let out a little bit of slob there. As a professional, you want to put yourself in a situation to where you have multiple things or multiple items that you use on a daily basis. I.e., you want to have more than one comb. If you use brushes, you want to have more than one brush. That way you can properly clean and sanitize things, and you won't be stuck with nothing to use. Pretty much after this one, I had to change my cape, because along with him being asleep, he pretty much drooled all over the front of it, and you don't want to, potentially pass anything on to any other clients that you may service. So try to have multiple things. Here I'm basically using my 2-guard, going with the grain, trying to reduce a little bit more of that bulk and try to make it a smoother transition. At this point, I'm just trying to clean up the real obvious things, or real obvious spots that stick out to me. I'm also trying to get him out of the chair. Obviously, he had a long day, and I don't want to delay his nap any further. Now I've switched to my gold FX trimmers, basically going in and cleaning up any little dark spots that my 5/0 blade might have left behind. I'm also trying to shake them a little bit, wake them up a little bit more before I get to the lineup in the front. In the front, I try to stick with the connect the dot system. Basically what that is, no matter where I start, I always want to create 3 points, one in the middle and one on each side where the vertical bars are. That way I can draw a straight line from the middle to the left point and from the middle to the right point. And starting out, it's probably a good idea to use the tools and things that you have available. So I always tell people starting out, when you do lineups, use your mirror. Turn your client towards the mirror, get the perspective from their view to see exactly what they see when they look in the mirror, and then from there determine which side is the high side, which side is the low side, and actually if you need to create a straight line, or if you want to talk it over with your client and leave it what it be. But Everybody gets into this big argument about pushing people back and all this other stuff. Yeah, at the end of the day, man, you want to come to a conclusion if you want your line to appear to be straight or if you want it to be natural. Like, those are two completely different things. At this point, I'm doing my best to try to work with them, so I'm doing things that I would normally do. This is not a normal technique that I would use, but I also didn't want them to fall forward out of the chair. Here I'm just using my straight razor to clean up the little hairs that I wasn't able to get with my trimmers due to him, you know, one, being asleep, and two, moving all over the place. But that's pretty much the cut. And if you made it to this point of the video, I appreciate you for watching. And if you can, subscribe. I'm trying to reach as many new barbers as I can. And if you find yourself struggling with certain things or certain techniques and you would like for me to maybe do a more in-depth demo, man, just drop it in the comments and let me know what it is you actually are interested in seeing me do. This is just a little extra I do for most of my clients that have curly hair. I basically wet it with a little water. I put some kind of curling cream or curling gel in it. Does two things. It gives it a little bit of a style. Of course, you can increase your ticket depending on where you are. And it also adds a little bit of shine and makes it easier for me to clean up things that might be out of place, say when they go home or when mom tries to style it the next morning. And again, man, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, and try to subscribe, you know, leave comments, and I'll see y'all in the next one.